All right, I want to talk today about your audience, about your readers, about your soon-to-be fans. Now, as an author, people are going to read your book. And if they don't, that means you've blown the cover. We'll talk about that in another module. But in order to build your audience, you got to talk with them, okay? And I don't mean chat. I don't mean doing a Facebook poll. To build a responsive audience, and I hate to use the word list even, but that's probably what it is as well. To build Seth Godin calls it a tribe. People that actually, they're fans, man. They're super fans. You got to have conversations with them. You got to actually communicate two-way. And I recommend using the phone. You know that thing you used to talk to people on? All right. You need to do this. You need to actually create a vibrant community of people that have a specific pain in your niche and you can solve it. So let's get started. I'm going to share with you exactly how professionals build their audience, both with a seed and then sprinkle some fertilizer and water and sunshine on that to make it grow organically and to make it grow in the right direction so that you can be the entrepreneurial, best-selling author and business person that you know you should be. Let's get started. Let's talk about building your audience. This is Doug Crowe from Real Bestseller, and we're going to discuss building your audience. And we're going to do this before anything else. We're going to do this before we even create the book. If you already have a book, then you still need this module because it'll certainly help you. But if you don't have a book yet, it's going to make your life so much easier. And the reason this is going to be easier for you is because we're going to discuss pre-selling your book, yes, even before it's actually written. And when you follow along with me here, you'll see why this is not only easier, it's safer, and strangely enough, faster. Okay, so traditional versus contrarian. This is a quick background on why this is important. You could write a book, and you could edit it and write it and edit it, and it takes forever. And then after you're done with this process, this giving birth to your ideas, you launch it. And you're launching amongst 300 to 500 to 600,000 new books every single year that get published. So you're literally a drop in the ocean. And now after it's actually published, then you campaign it. And if you're lucky, you get some reviews, you get some sales, and you're a published author. If after that you've got a little campaign going and you can build an audience, usually it starts with friends and family, then you're a success. But that's very, very rare. It's rare to establish authority on this process of traditionally creating, launching, campaigning, and building a book out. It just is a long, painful process. And this is probably why most people don't bother to craft, position, and publish a book. That's a traditional model. You write, write some more, edit some more, publish it, promote it, and then you pray for some results. Now, there's a contrarian method which has been used by other authors, other successful authors you know of, and I want you to do a similar model, not perhaps a precise model they used, but the concept holds true no matter how you adjust it, okay? And that's number one, build the audience first. This pre-sells not only your book, but the very concept of the book itself. As you build that audience up, you're already establishing authority because you're asking for their input. You're getting their input on the book's content, on the positioning of it, how it's important to them, what pain you are solving, and that authority, again, is not asked for. It's naturally given because you're the guy or the gal that's putting it together. So you're naturally the leader of this idea. Okay, and once you've got that all set up, your campaign begins, again, before the book is actually written. And it begins in a collaborative angle because this audience you've actually spoken with, had conversations with, now has a vested interest in not only seeing this book come to fruition, but actually helping it get out there and become popular because perhaps their story's in the book, or perhaps they just love the acknowledgement you're going to give them. Okay, and now what acknowledgement of that is that? That's the actual reader-generated content. And the example we'll give here, you'll see in a second, it's phenomenal. It's actually created over $1 billion in revenue by having reader-generated content. And then once you have that crafted, then you launch the book. That's the last thing you do is launch the book, right? But you pre-sell it by building the audience and getting that authority established in collaboration, and then obviously you can get it rolling. So what this looks like, it's actually a circular reference. It's not a linear reference. You don't just pre-sell, serve, publish, and engage. You continually do that because you're probably going to have more than one book or more than one piece of content out there that's going to be monetized for yourself. So it's a circular model. It's a little bit unusual to wrap your head around because most people think in a linear fashion to do things. But let me show you why this is important. If you go the traditional timeline, which is write, edit, wait, publish, wait, get some reviews, and hope for some sales, that's a long, painful process. The process we're describing in a linear fashion is this. We're using the community to help us position it, to help us create the content, to help us do the marketing. All those three arrows happen much more quickly than the old model. And when you do it this way, the book actually sells either in thought or in actual revenue before it's actually published, depending on how bold you are with taking pre-orders. So, thoughts. Before your reader base is actually established, your book idea, okay, they may not like it, right? You have to build your reader base before your book is written. It's just a real simple thing to do. If you write a book and nobody likes it, you've just wasted a bunch of time. So when you ask the questions of your audience about this particular theme you're thinking about, what you want to do to engage them, what happens if what they say is not to your liking? What happens if you've got an idea for Project A and they also come back and say, no, we'd like to hear about Project B? Are you willing, are you bold enough, are you honest enough with yourself to change your idea to match your audience? I hope so. When you do this right and you're authentic and honest and true with yourself and your audience, you're going to build a responsive list for pre-sales, okay? And that's basically called crowd-created content. The biggest brands on the planet are using crowd-created content. Chicken Soup for the Soul. You know, those two guys didn't write a single word except the introduction. The people provided the content for that. The largest search engine on the planet, Google, doesn't create any content, right? The users do all that. YouTube, same thing. YouTube doesn't make any videos, really. They have some training ones, but the billions and billions of videos are created by the crowd, right? So when it comes to your book, there's a couple things you can do here to get going with this. Number one, in order to establish your idea, it's always a good idea to see what else is out there first. Most entrepreneurs and business owners will look at what they're doing. They have some experience in their industry, and I would hope that you have actually read some other competitors' books, right? When you do that, go to the reviews of those books and see what people are liking, what they're disliking out there. The other thing you can do is you can take some ideas, whether it's a chapter title or the entire theme of the book, and post it in some Facebook groups and get some engagement, ask some questions, give some answers, and start talking to people about this idea of yours and see if they actually like it and get their feedback and listen to what they say. You can do a poll. You could do SurveyMonkey. You could even run a Kickstarter campaign to test the validation of a book concept, and that is a great way to get pre-sales. A couple friends of mine have done that with books, quite successfully, in fact, where they actually use the funds from Kickstarter to finish writing and editing and publishing their book. All right, so an example I did for getting the audience engagement was a little bit, well, perhaps more narrow. I was creating a book about international dating. So I created a pen name and a dating profile in a book I was planning. This book's theme, which was a little bit unusual, was tested on a target audience before I wrote a single word of the book. Okay, I got ideas, content, and I actually spoke with future buyers who were the target market, and I actually talked to over 900 people on chat, between myself and my virtual assistant. I didn't actually chat with 900 people myself, but I got the first 100 or so chats queued up, turned over to my assistant, and we authentically engaged with these people one-on-one and talked about the dating world and said, we're coming out with a book. What do you think about this idea? And they gave us feedback, input, and stories, right? It was really, we got a ton of feedback. And the way it worked was very simple. Target audience, dating profile, and then I got ideas. I asked about the ideas, and I engaged with them. Simple, right? That's all you have to do. And then that concept was then organized. And we organized the concept of the book according to the audience's burning desire. That sometimes comes from asking more than one question, like, I've got this idea for a book, what do you think? And you ask them what's their biggest challenge in this specific space. In this case, it was dating. And what was the way they tried to overcome it? Give me one of their horror stories, the funniest story, a successful story. All those data points all coalesced into their burning desire, the main theme of the book. And once we did that, we then let them know, hey, we're coming out with this book. What would you think? Hey, man, that's great. This one simple strategy pre-sold over 275 books before it was even written. So we're very, very proud of that, and coming out with a website on that as well. It's pretty exciting. So this is what an entrepreneurial author does. They don't think of the book as the main thing. It's not, hey, I'm going to be an author. You're an entrepreneur who happens to be an author. So what you do is you treat it like a real business. You do polls. You do a focus group. You collect actual data from your target audience, and you put it into a spreadsheet, and you look at it analytically. I'm sorry, if you're a right-brain person, just bear with me. Hire someone that's a left-brainer and get this data all organized for yourself. Because you want to design your book and the products that support that book per their request. You might have some great ideas, and that's a wonderful place to start, but don't stop there. Design your book and products the way they're asking for, okay? And you can even ask for editorial input. You can get your audience to actually help you with the editing of your book as well. There's a lot of people out there that are proofreaders. You can include your audience as a launch partner, especially if there's stories in the book. They may be proud of it, and depending on what it is, they may help you launch the book itself, okay? Pain is gain, guys. When you actually have some pain out there, and this is, quite frankly, it was a pain to sit there and chat with, almost 900 people, okay, on a dating site. It was boring. It was very, very dull. That's why I had an assistant do probably 70% of the work after I got it started. But that pain gave me a lot of gain. It gave me very clear insight into what I wanted to publish. So don't be afraid of that. Most of your audience already knows your industry. They already know, they've already read the same books you've read. So you're not going to probably say anything, terribly insightful or new. But you've got to position yourself in an intelligent manner. Address what's not being addressed out there. When you go to look at your competitors' books, look at the 3-star reviews. When you see a bunch of 3-star reviews, that means somebody is not a jerk. They haven't given a 1-star or a 5-star saying, you walk on water. They probably read the book, and they're probably giving constructive criticism on the book itself. If you analyze enough 3-star reviews, you're going to find a topic, an idea, a pain point that's not being addressed out there. When you address that, bingo, you are on your way to doing something pretty significant. And when you address your clients, boldly like that and honestly, you're going to show up into the marketplace, into your book space like nobody else. And you'll sell more books. And the other products are going to go with that book. So that's the overview on creating the audience, the purpose behind creating your audience first, some ideas of how to do it. And this is this is how we roll here, guys. We get to the point, we execute, we test it, we validate it, and we publish it. It's just that simple. This is Doug Crowe with Real Bestseller. I hope you've enjoyed this short tutorial. If you like this, if it makes sense to you, we've got a whole program. We just do it all for you as well. So if that's of interest to you, you know how to get a hold of me. Click on the link if it's below this on how to engage with us. We'd be happy to set you up as a best-selling author. Whether you have a book or don't have a book, that is immaterial because we can take care of both of those angles quite expeditiously. All right, thanks so much. Talk to you soon.